I am focused on getting things into the ground, and I am so excited. It just feels like it's been so long before we've been able to do this. So I'm going to focus on just doing the last little bit of preparation that I need to do to make sure that I've got an ideal planting area. I do have a little bit of extra soil. I have some soil sand mixtures that I'm going to make. I'm going to be using some older potting soil just to kind of beef up the mix just a little bit, and going to do the last of the drip irrigation just to make sure I can water everything. But I've decided I'm not going to let that hold me up anymore from putting things into the ground. I'm going to get things into the ground and then continue to do the work that I need to do on the drip irrigation. One thing I've just realized about that is, yes, it's like everything online says, oh, simple, do it yourself. And I'm gonna say it takes time. It has taken so much time. It's gonna be worth it. It's just a lot of work. I mean, if you're gonna install drip irrigation, I mean, I did it the biggest way possible. I decided I was going to, cover a very large area. And that's usually how I do things. I do things for the first time in like a really big way. I learn a lot of things. I learn a lot of what not to do. Would I do it differently? A couple things, sure, but we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to be focused on actually getting things into the ground. Some of what is going in is going to be peonies. I've never planted peonies before. I've ordered a bunch of things from Eden Brothers. This is not sponsored. I just have enjoyed ordering from them. I've had a pretty good success rate with the things I've ordered from them. Also have my dahlias here. I ordered a pack of 10. I would be lying if I didn't say I was completely intimidated and a little bit nervous about putting things into the ground, but the only way I'm ever going to know what works is to just keep trying, because I feel like with gardening, with the yard, with all these types of outdoor things, there's so much more trial and error, because you could watch all the videos in the world, you could watch all the tutorials. Nothing can really speak to your specific soil type or your watering habits. They could talk about watering needs, but is it realistic for me to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to water? And I've learned that I'm ultimately going to be doing what works best for me and what's easiest to maintain, ultimately working to do things in a more efficient way so that I am a lot more ready to just throw seeds into the ground. Now the drip irrigation is there, so hopefully that holds up for a good number of years, and I only have to replace little parts here and there. Okay, in addition to the tubers that are going to go into the ground today, I wanted to share some of the other seeds. I've got this adorable little seed organizer. I would not recommend this one. It was not that easy to use. It was actually pretty difficult to get all the little seeds into these tiny little containers. And then I had to abbreviate some of the names. Kilo, he's licking the tripod. I had to abbreviate some of the names. I love you. And I found myself actually looking through them again, and not knowing what some of them were. So I've got California giant zinnias. I've got purple coneflower, which I have not had any success with purple coneflower. Kilo, sit. Thank you. I've not had any success ever with purple coneflower. It's starting to come up in little places in the yard, which is amazing. I have heard that perennials can take a lot longer to establish roots. Like, for example, the daisies, they haven't flowered yet, but they're coming up like super strong. Those actually stayed green over the winter, which I was so impressed with. But I got absolutely none of those during last year's planting season. As far as more flowers go, what do I have? An echinacea, black-eyed Susan mix. I've heard things about Black-Eyed Susan taking over, so I'm not sure if a mix is going to be successful, but I've I've tried them before, and again, they didn't come up. I think it's like 2 years in a row, so I'll just try again. I've got lavender, which I've not had much success with lavender seeds. I've got lobella, creeping thyme. I have a plan for where I want those to go. I never ended up putting them into the ground because the area in the front of the house where I wanted to plant them, I'm not consistent with watering. I was just not consistent with watering last year. So I knew I didn't want to put seeds in the ground and then have to go out there and water that area. So I did kill a couple of shrubs, just not giving them water. And the soil is had been so bad in the front of the house that there was kind of no point of trying. I've got lupine. I put those into the ground 3 years in a row. I've never had a single even green little peak of anything come up with those. I've still got a ton more Shasta daisy. I also have a lot of cosmos. What I've typically done in the past with my cosmos is I throw the seeds out, I just see what comes up, and they're beautiful. I absolutely love them. We always have a big windstorm or some sort of storm that'll come through around September, October, and just knock everything over. I've never staked cosmos. Last year, I tried to use flexible tape to kind of hold it back. It was a mess. I was constantly trying to readjust the tape. So I've never really been strategic with my cosmos. With most of this, I would say this is the most strategic year I've ever had in regard to the garden, because I've always just haphazardly thrown things about, and it looks beautiful for a few weeks, few months, but then it gets a little unruly, a little unpredictable. I also made the mistake of planting everything way too close together. So a lot of things really struggled to take off. By the time I was trying to thin them out, it was absolutely overwhelming. I just had way too much work to thin them out. So I decided I was just going to let everything go, let everything keep going, however it was going to come up. So that is something I'm doing differently this year. I'm not trying to throw 100 seeds into one little area. I'm being intentional, giving them a little more room, making sure the soil and the water is good where the seeds are going in. Just being smart about that. I have a bunch of mammoth sunflowers. I've heard that if you plant them close together, you'll get smaller sunflowers. I planted just a couple of these last year for the first time, and I ended up getting 4 7-foot tall sunflowers, and I was just in awe. They were just gorgeous. But they didn't last long, so I wanted to try again, have them a little bit closer. I've got many different cosmos varieties, so I think I'm going to try different areas of where I could put those, even though they are difficult to maintain once they get a little bigger, but they're just so pretty. This is mostly cosmos and sunflower seeds. Some of them have bite marks in them. Gee, I wonder why. Flaches. Something I learned early on is that I don't need a pound of seeds. This was from my first year of planting, like 3 years ago. It's great to have a lot, I guess. It's cool. But I didn't need that many. You really don't. I've learned that, like, I used to look at little packs like this and think, how do you do that? Like, there's not enough, because, like I said, I would pour seeds into a little crevice or hole in the soil. I would just pour seeds in thinking, like, the more the better, but that's not true. I've got a couple new things I've never tried before, just getting a little bit daring. So I've got a different type of sunflower seeds. These are the Ring of Fire from Eden Brothers. Zinnia seeds. It's the cupcake pink mix. So I'm so excited to see what these are going to look like. I've got Binary giant wine zinnia seeds. I've also got snapdragon seeds. These are the 20 bronze shades. Never tried snapdragon. I've also got celosia seeds. For vegetables, I've got burpless cucumber, market cucumbers. I don't really know the difference. I just know they're two different types. We got a bunch of cucumbers last year. They were pretty small though, but we loved them. I've got large tomatoes, yellow squash. Tomatoes, we actually didn't get any until about October of last year. We ended up getting one. So I've been disappointed with tomatoes. I'm just going to keep trying again. It has a lot to do with like, we just don't water frequently. So I'm really hoping that the drip irrigation with the timer is uh, going to help with that. Rainbow carrots, some different types of zucchini, spinach, radishes, eggplant, putting in a basil plant again. The basil looked so beautiful. I actually think it's still coming up. I cut the plant back completely and I just noticed yesterday it's starting to grow again. So that's actually pretty exciting. It does get pretty big. So the area that I had it in last time was very cumbersome. So I realized I need to put it elsewhere. Um, the rosemary is still going like crazy. Peppermint's going like crazy. Well, we don't really use a ton of herbs, but considering we have them now, we're going to. I've got butterfly milkweed that's coming up. Which was really beautiful last year. Again, just learning how to do things properly and not rush the process is very important to me this year. So pretty out. It is so beautiful. Okay, I don't know why this is full of rocks. I don't know why. Let's get rid of these. Get the rocks out. I don't know why I put rocks. I know I intentionally did that like years ago. I don't know why I did that. Some sand. Let's see. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, baby, please. No. No. Lila, come here. Lila, come here. Please, 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 don't prove them wrong. Get out of here. Ugh. Whoa. Okay, you could stay. Na, 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 I just woke up not that long ago. It looks like it's going to storm. So I'm going to try to get some seeds into the ground before it does. I haven't even taken out my retainer yet.